guys, Steve-O here from Cody Crafted, and today we turn this dash into this dash.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Let's go build something cool.
No instructions, what? We're back at the shop today, and I'm actually working on the Trax that my son is driving. I'm gonna do a radio install, but we're gonna integrate it into all of the factory functions. We don't do a lot of this in Cody Crafted, but it is something that we're capable of doing. So if we need to integrate a reverse camera, overland navigation, whatever the case may be, definitely something we have our capability of. But not only am I working on this beautiful Saturday, we do have Cody over here grinding and welding on the wambulance, as he likes to call it. We're getting ready to put in this beautiful big axle, and that thing's just gonna be amazing. So I'm gonna get to this radio install, walk you through a couple of the key things again as we retain all of the factory functions, and let's get started. All right, so the reason for needing to do the radio install today is quite frankly this. And this is a pretty common issue in the Chevy Traxes, the Chevy Sonics and whatnot. But what we have here is a touch screen radio that no longer touch screens. So we have no control over the radio, very limited control. Volume here does work. Power button works, the home button works, but we cannot switch to any other feature. We can't connect our phones without just using a USB. We can change some things using the steering wheel controls, but that's about it. So this is the purpose of needing to do this job. And let me show you what we're gonna be putting in. Okay, so what we have here are all of the necessary items in order to install this Alpine ILX 507. This is the 7-inch audio video receiver. It's got the wireless Apple CarPlay, which is one of the things that I'm a stickler about. Hate having to use the USB cable if I don't have to. But it also should help us retain the majority of the factory features. So we of course have the radio. We've got the antenna adapter. What we've got here are the two modules that make everything work. So this RR module, this is going to be everything that retains the vehicle features. And then you've got this GM2 module. This is going to retain all of the steering wheel controls. Radio harness, dash kit. With the dash kit, you do have to buy the whole kit because, of course, it is shaped differently for the aftermarket radio. So it does come with the whole bezel. That is going to require you to remove some of your trim pieces as well as your vents, which go in that section right there. So we'll be showing you how to do that here in just a second. All right, so the dash bezel is held around the sides with just clips, right? Like a standard dash. So just use your dash tool, get up in there and pull that out. And with the magic of edit, we now have the bezel out. And you can see there's a clip here, there's some stuff down in here. Now, I will say that the tray up here, depending on who you ask, you can remove the bezel without taking it out, though some people will instruct you to go ahead and take it out. There's a little rubber mat in here, and then under the rubber mat are two 7mm. So just use your nut driver, 7mm, take them out, and this piece will also just come out of the vehicle. Then you've got four 7mm to the side of the radio. Take those out, remove the radio, disconnect it, and the first part of the installation is done. Okay, so we have the factory bezel and we have the replacement Metra bezel. So let's get this opened up. All right, now that we've got them out and side by side, what you can see here is that there is some additional trim from the factory piece. This silver trim that goes in these little cubby holes to the side, you will need to remove those and install them on the new Metra dash kit. You will also need to remove the middle section of the air vents here. There are clips on the back that will be centered here. And then of course you can see the main difference in these two pieces is the shape of the radio hole, because the aftermarket radio is of course rectangle and the factory Chevy radio had a curve at the bottom. So that is the major reason we're not just using the radio mounting bracket. We're also needing to use this entire radio bezel. So, on the back, there are just little clips. You just want to very carefully press on those to start to remove these pieces without any damage, and it pops right out. You do the same thing on this side, and it comes right out. On the center air vents, there are two 7mm bolts that hold them in, so you will need to also remove those before releasing it from the plastic clip. All right, those are removed, and then you just have 4 clips here at the top and 4 clips here at the bottom. There you have it. One of the other things I do note is that there are no clips to reinstall this into the dash again. So you will need to remove the 9 clips from the factory piece. There are these 5 golden clips, and then there are 4 smaller silver clips along the top. Reinstall those on the aftermarket piece. Install your air vents, your bezel covers, and that part will be done. So. All right, so another thing you can do because of those little teeth, if you don't want to fight it too much with, say, a small screwdriver, you can find something that would slip in and get behind those teeth and make it easily slip off. This is actually a Zeus tool. I believe that's DZUS, used on race car hood fasteners and whatnot. But because it's the appropriate width, I can actually slide that right underneath those teeth and get them off a little bit quicker. So could be a little tip there to help you save some time with these clips. Okay, actually just noticed something else as well, but that's all of the clips off of the original OEM unit. A couple of things of note. The original unit does have these nut certs, if you will. These are not present on the new one. There are only holes, but I believe the screws will still be just fine. But also the bottom of these are rubber, just kind of rubber sections. You do need to remove these out. They're just kind of held in with a couple of arms, it looks like, and you might be able to just squeeze those right out, maybe. All right, let me get back to you on that. Okay, so something I did not notice earlier is not only do you need the trim bezels, but there's actually another insert that goes into the little side pieces here. This insert has these 2 retaining shelves right here on each side, and also has, this is rubber, so it is pliable, but it kind of goes behind the new piece, and you'll need to make sure you pry that out, and then it should push directly out the front like this. So I'm going to take out the other side after I install this. Very important part, or else your dash will not look correct. Okay, I have the other side out now. The factory piece is pulled apart, no broken tabs. I'll retain this just in case I need it again in the future, but almost done with the dash kit. And there you have the completed Metro dash kit for the aftermarket radio. Let's move on. So we are putting in, again, the Alpine ILX 507. Guess we'll try to figure it out. So because this one is mechless, and you can see the screen is bigger than the unit itself, there's only so many screw holes I have access to. And what I'm seeing so far is that there's a small cant to where it's making the radio point down a little bit, but I guess we'll see if it's necessary when we install it. Now, on to figuring out all of the connections that allow us to connect to the car. All right, so the first harness we use today is the ALP1 by iDataLink Maestro. This particular wiring harness is a direct Alpine fit, So it goes directly into the radio. You don't have to do any wiring or soldering or however you do your connections, but then it turns it into an adapter to go with the additional Maestro pieces that will integrate it into the car fully. So ALP1 by iDataLink Maestro. Affiliate links for all of these items will be in the description below. So the other two pieces we will be using are the HRGM2 installation harness. We talked about this earlier. This is what adapts everything. It is literally just a harness. This is what's going to plug into all the appropriate things in order to make everything work. And then we have also the Maestro RR, and this is the brains of the unit. This is the computer that will make everything talk to each other. So what you're seeing here is we've got that Maestro unit, right? And this unit has to be programmed and the firmware updated for your specific setup. That includes literally telling it exactly the vehicle that you have, the amenities that that vehicle has, up to and including even the actual radio and the serial number of that radio that you're using. So I am programming that right now, but we just wanted to show you that if you're going to go this route to retain all of your factory functions, or as many as possible, the two that I'm not retaining through the use of the vehicle, I was speaking to this earlier, but the XM radio will not be used through the actual XM receiver or antenna or the car. If I wanted to use that, I can use that through the app still, through Apple CarPlay. And the factory USB and auxiliary will not be utilized. I'll need to run a separate USB adapter plate, probably take out the cigarette lighter adapter in this particular vehicle, and then you'll have two separate USB ports, one for Apple CarPlay should you choose to plug in, though this one is wireless, and then one for quick charging. And there you have it. The Alpine deck is completely installed. Everything is back together. All the accessories are ran behind the dash in their respective places. I do have the GPS sensor in the glove box, along with the two USB cables for the radio. Got the mic right here for the hands-free. And Ken has the new Alpine. All right, just a follow-up. I'm recording this a week or so after the original install. I did go in and adjust the radio a little bit so that it sits a little bit more flush. There's not enough room underneath the new dash bezel to bring it all the way out and use the beauty ring. However, it was sitting a little further back than I would have liked. Also, I did get a connector. This particular connector right here, which actually allows, I went back in and connected the stock USB with the CarPlay input, and then I bought a single USB adapter and replaced the cigarette adapter here, and that runs to the power. All right, so those were just a couple of quick add-ons that I felt like after the initial install I really thought would be that I wanted. They're not necessary, but something that I felt the radio has the capability. There's the adapters for the connectivity, so why not go ahead and complete it out? So again, removing the cigarette lighter so you don't have to use an adapter, it can go straight into USB for a power for charging, and then of course the USB in the glove box that not only charges but also is good for your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So just a quick add-on to the initial video, and I hope y'all like these extra tips. All right guys, so that's what you get when you spend the day trying to figure out how to piece all of this new GM or your manufacturer's technology into a aftermarket radio, because they do not make it easy. However, I will say with the Maestro kits, they made it about as easy as they could. Keep in mind the few tips and tricks that we shared along the way, just a couple of things that stood out to me. The radio's done here. We want to remind you again that while we can do car stereo and other automobile electronics, you know, it's certainly not what we do all the time. We're not here to make the boom booms, but if we need to integrate cameras, if we need to integrate GPS for your overlanding, you know, we're definitely here to be able to help with that and all your other needs. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, smash that bell, and we're going to see you on the next one.